السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد، باب بر من كان يصله أبوه. حدثنا عبد الله بن صالح قال حدثني الليث عن خالد بن يزيد عن عبد الله بن دينار عن ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما عن عبد الله بن دينار عن ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما: مر أعرابي في سفر فكان أبو الأعرابي صديقا لعمر رضي الله عنه، فقال الأعرابي: ألست ابن فلان؟ قال: بلى. فأمر له ابن عمر بحمار كان يستعقب، ونزع عمامته عن رأسه فأعطاه، فقال بعض من معه: أما يكفيه درهمان؟ قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: احفظ ود أبيك لا تقطعه فيطفئ الله نورك. This is chapter number 20, and this is the 20th adab regarding the parents. Imam Bukhari rahimahullah starts his book Adab Al Mufrad with the etiquettes and the manners with the parents, and now we are on the 20th chapter, and this chapter is regarding birri man kana yasiluhu abuhu, meaning being kind to those whom your parents were close to, whom they were friends with, being kind to those people also. So initially it was those chapters directly regarding the parents, being kind to the father, being kind to the mother, and different etiquettes regarding the parents themselves. Now in this chapter, Imam Bukhari rahimahullah is bringing another adab, and that is being kind to even those whom your father, your mother were close and they were in relation with. So the friends of your father and your mother, being kind to them also. This is indirectly being kind and being obedient to your parents. This is one of the rights of the parents, that after they pass away, even while they're alive, during their life, and even after they pass away, being in relation with those people, it's a type of being obedient to your own parents. And in this hadith, Imam Bukhari rahimahullah that he's bringing here, he's mentioning an incident of Abdullah bin Umar radiallahu anhu. What is this incident? Abdullah bin Umar radiallahu anhu, once a Bedouin, an Arabi, a Bedouin was passing by him in a journey. So the father of this Bedouin was the friend of Umar radiallahu anhu. So Abdullah bin Umar and this Bedouin, they're both the sons, and both of their fathers were friends of each other. فَكَانَ أَبُو الْأَعْرَابِ, the father of this Bedouin, was the friend of Umar radiallahu anhu. So the Bedouin asked, are you not the son of such and such person? So this Bedouin is asking Abdullah bin Umar, are you not the son of Umar radiallahu anhu? So Abdullah bin Umar says, Bala, yes, sure I am. When Abdullah bin Umar now realized that this person, this Bedouin, is the son of my father's friend. He is the son, this Bedouin is the son of my father's friend. فَأَمَرَ لَهُ ابن عمر بحمار كان يستعقب. Then Abdullah bin Umar radiallahu anhu commanded that his donkey be given to this person, this Bedouin. Give this person my donkey as a gift. And the scholars have mentioned in the previous days, in the past, the way they used to travel was that they would have a second animal with them. For example, if they're traveling on a horse or on a camel, they would have a separate animal, a donkey or another camel with them in case the first animal is not walking properly or gets sick or it's getting slow. They would have another animal as a backup. So Abdullah bin Umar radiallahu anhu was traveling on a camel and he had a donkey as a backup. So this backup donkey, he says, give it to this Bedouin. And then, not just this, وَنَزَعَ عِمَامَتَهُ عَنْ رَأْسِهِ فَأَعْطَاهُ. And then he took off his imamah that he was wearing from his head and he gave this imamah also to this Bedouin. Two gifts, the donkey and the imamah. فَقَالَ بَعْضُ مَنْ مَعْهُ أَمَا يَكْفِيهِ دِرْهَمَانِ. Someone that was with Abdullah bin Umar asked Abdullah bin Umar, wasn't just 2 dirhams enough for this Bedouin? Why did you give him such an expensive gift? A donkey, an expensive animal, and then your imamah that you used to wear. Why didn't you just give him few dollars, 2 dirhams? He would be happy with those. فقال قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم احفظ ود أبيك. Abdullah bin Umar says that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam have said, maintain the relations with whom your father loved, the friends of your father. Maintain that relation. Keep the connection with your father's friends. This is the teachings of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that keep the relation with your father's friends. And this person, though he's not my father's friend, but his father was my father's friend. Look at he's going even a step further. He's not just maintaining the relation with his father's friend, but his father's friend's son. I don't think we can even imagine that relation. We can barely understand the relation that how do we be kind to our father's friend. We have to find those people whom my father loved and who are the friends of my father. Even that is too far for us. But Abdullah bin Umar is going even further and he's looking for the father's friends' relatives. And then Prophet ﷺ gives one more instruction. لا تقطعه فيطفئ الله نورك. That don't break that relation. The relation of your father's friend, don't break that relation. فَيُطْفِئَ اللَّهُ نُورَكَ. Or else Allah will distinguish your nur, your light. The result of not keeping the relation with your father's friend is that your nur will be distinguished. What does this mean, that nur will be distinguished? Scholars mention 3 different meanings for this word, that your nur will be distinguished. One is that some scholars mention that the nur of iman that is in everyone's heart, the nur of iman that is in every mu'min's heart, Allah will start to distinguish that nur, and that nur of iman will start decreasing. It will start getting lower and lower. So your iman depends on keeping that relation with your father's friends. This is one meaning, that nur of iman will start to distinguish. Number 2, some scholars say it is referring to that nur which a person will be given in the day of Qiyamah. On the day of judgment, as we know, Rasulullah ﷺ tells us in many ahadith that there will be darkness, and every person that will be able to see his surroundings will be through the light that he will be given. And his light, strength of the light will be according to how strong his iman and how good his deeds were. So that nur on the day of judgment, that will start to distinguish, because if you don't keep that connection with your father's friends. That's 2, the nur on the day of Qiyamah. And number 3, some scholars mention that nur here refers to that acceptance of your acceptance in the people's hearts. Your acceptance in people's hearts. Meaning that if you keep this relation with your father's friend, that means that you are being accepted in the people. If you don't keep this relation, people will be cut off from you. People will not have connection with you. People will not care what are you going through. If you're any difficulty, they won't care about what you're going through. So keeping that connection with the people accepting you, having people having your acceptance in their hearts, and they have love for you, they accept you in their hearts. This is what nur refers to here. So there are 3 different meanings here. So anyways, The instruction is keep the connection with your father's friends. If you don't, Allah will distinguish your nur. And your nur could be the nur of Iman, could be the nur of the Day of Judgment, or it could be the nur referring to the acceptance in the people's hearts. This is the first hadith. Second hadith Imam Bukhari rahimahullah brings here is also by Abdullah bin Umar عن ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما عن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إن أبر البر أن يصل الرجل أهل ود أبيه. Abdullah bin Umar radiallahu anhu says, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam have said that the best type of obedience, abarr al-birr, that the strongest type of obedience is that a person keeps the connection with his father's friends. A person has connection he keeps his relation with his friends, with his relatives, but the strongest type of relation that a person should keep is that connection that his father had with his friends. You keep that connection with those people. Your father's friends, keep good connection, meaning that if they are sick, go visit them, making sure that they're not in need of anything. If they are, go and give them what they need. Look after them, make sure that they're not suffering. Send them some gifts once in a while. So keep that relation with your father's friend. This is the most strongest type of obedience. Meaning that obedience, of course, when it comes to the rights of parents, or else, of course, the mother has the strongest right of obedience. We need to show the most obedience to our own mother and our own father, not to their friends. They come second. But this is talking about when it comes to the father's relatives and your parents' relatives and their friends, the strongest one out of those is that the father's friend has the most right. And third hadith Imam Bukhari rahimahullah brings, again, is another incident. And this incident is of Amr bin Uthman, who was the son of Uthman radiallahu anhu. Normally we don't hear about the son of Uthman radiallahu anhu. Uthman radiallahu anhu's son was not a Sahabi, he was a Tabi'i. And in fact he was amongst the greatest of Tabi'ins. Of course he's the son of Uthman radiallahu anhu. His level just shows because of the being the son of the Khalifa. So Amr bin Uthman, this hadith is narrated by Sa'ad bin Ubadah al-Zuraqi. He says that my father, his father's name was Ubadah. Ubadah says, كنت جالسا في مسجد المدينة مع عمر بن عثمان. That I was once sitting in the Masjid of Medina, in Masjid al-Nabawi. And this reminds me, Masjid al-Nabawi, when we visit Masjid al-Nabawi, this is a sidetrack. Masjid al-Nabawi, it has so much history, so much barakat, so much rahmah, so many things happen in this Masjid al-Nabawi, we can't even imagine. Nowadays people will go pray salah there, give salam to Prophet ﷺ and leave. They don't realize that every step that they're standing on, wherever they're standing, they're sitting, they're walking, something special had taken place in those places. So this narration is that he says that I was sitting with Amr bin Uthman in the Masjid of Prophet ﷺ in Masjid al-Nabawi. Amr bin Uthman, the son of Uthman radiallahu anhu. So these two people are sitting. Ubadah al-Zuraqi, he's sitting with Amr bin Uthman radiallahu anhu in Masjid al-Nabawi. What happens now? فَمَرَّ بِنَا عَبْدُ اللَّهِ بِن سَلَامٍ رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُ مُتَّكِئًا عَلَى إِبْنِ أَخِيهِ. A great Sahabi by the name of Abdullah bin Salam radiallahu anhu. Abdullah bin Salam, we know we heard about him that he was previously a Jew. In fact, he was a scholar in the Jewish, he was a rabbi. And he accepted Islam, he had the Torah memorized. Just like we have Quran memorized, he had the Torah memorized. So Abdullah bin Salam radiallahu anhu passed by while taking support on the shoulders of his nephew. So Abdullah bin Salam must have been old. He was not able to walk alone by himself. So he was taking support on the shoulders of his nephew. And he walked by these two people, Ubadah al-Zuraqi and Amr bin Uthman rahimahullah. فنفذ عن المجلس ثم عطف عليه فرجع عليهم. He passed ahead of this gathering, this majlis that these two people were sitting. He passed by, he went ahead of it, and then he turned around. And then he returned back. So what's happening? Abdullah bin Salam radiallahu anhu passed by Amr bin Uthman, this gathering. He went ahead and he did not say anything. He just walked straight ahead. And then when he got a little ahead, he passed by this gathering. He went ahead. Then he turned back around. He looked back. And then he came towards these people. And then he said to Amr bin Uthman, the son of Uthman radiallahu anhu, فَقَالْ مَا شِئْتَ عَمْرُ bin Uthman. Amr bin Uthman, do whatever you want to do. Do what you wish to do. He said this word, he said this thing 2 or 3 times, مرتين أو ثلاثا. And then he said, فَوَالَّذِي بَعَثَ مُحَمَّدًا صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ بِالْحَقِّ إِنَّهُ لَفِي كِتَابِ اللَّهِ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ مرتين لا تقطع من كان يصل أباك فيطفأ بذلك نورك. And then Abdullah bin Salam, first he said, do whatever you want to do. I'm not going to force you that you must do this, do that. I'm not going to tell you, you do what you want to do. But just remember, I swear by the one who sent Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam with haqq, meaning I swear by Allah. And this is also mentioned in the book of Allah 2 times. Is mentioned in the book of Allah 2 times, that لا تقطع من كان يصل أباك, don't break that relation that whom your father had relations with. Don't break that relation whom your father had relations with. فيطفأ بذلك نورك, or else that your nur will be distinguished because of this. Amr bin Uthman was a son of Uthman radiallahu anhu. Let's understand this incident here. And Abdullah bin Salam radiallahu anhu was a great Sahabi who was the friend of Uthman radiallahu anhu. So Amr bin Uthman's father and Abdullah bin Salam, they both are friends. Now, according to the hadith, Amr bin Uthman should have been obedient, should have showed respect, he should have showed some honor to Abdullah bin Salam because he was the friend of his father Uthman radiallahu anhu. But Amr bin Uthman did not do anything. He just sat the way he was, no salam, no standing up, no asking how are you doing, nothing. He just ignored him, he let him pass by. This is why Abdullah bin Salam initially did not say anything. He walked by waiting, hopefully Amr bin Uthman will stand up and come and ask me and show some respect based on the hadith that you need to be kind to those whom your father had relations with. Because Amr bin Uthman did not get up and did not do anything, he came back and told Amr bin Uthman that whatever you're doing, you can do. You don't want to be kind to me, that's fine. You don't want to show respect to me, that's fine. But just remember that if you don't show relations with those whom your father had relations, your nur can be distinguished. So this was another incident Imam Bukhari rahimahullah brought here, that a person should be kind, should be having good treatment, good relation with the father's friends and whoever the father had relations with. Next chapter, Imam Bukhari rahimahullah brings here, Babun al-wuddu yatawarathu. This chapter is love comes in inheritance. Many times we think that inheritance is the wealth, the house, the car the father had left behind. That's wiratha, that's the inheritance. No, that is not the only wiratha, that's not the only inheritance. Al-wuddu yatawarath. Even the love comes in inheritance. It gets passed down from the father, from the mother, from the elders to their children. What does this mean? Let's look at the hadith first. عن أبي بكر بن حزم عن رجل من أصحاب النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال كفيتك أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إن الود يتوارث. Once a Sahabi, name is not mentioned, who was this Sahabi? عن رجل من أصحاب النبي. One of the Sahabis said كفيتك أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال, it is enough for you. It's probably this is very short and brief here. It's probably something where someone asked a Sahabi for an advice or something, and the Sahabi is saying that just this one advice is enough for you. كفيتك, it is enough for you that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam have said, إن الود يتوارث, that love is also inherited. It comes as inheritance from your parents. What does this mean? It could have two different meanings. One is, whomever your parents loved, the friends of your father and your mother, whomever they had love for, that love should be passed down to the children. The children should also love them. Just as we were learning in the previous hadith, we need to have relation with our fathers, our parents, friends. So this hadith is telling us the same message, that the love should also be given as wiratha, should be passed down to the children. Don't just leave the wealth behind, don't just leave the house and the cars behind. Also give your children the love that you have for whomever, pass that down to your children, so your children should be loving all of those people too. This is one meaning. And another meaning is that sometimes a person feels that that person does not love me or does not have this quality of loving others. Prophet ﷺ is telling us that you cannot put love in someone's heart. Al-wuddu yatawarath, the love just comes through inheritance. It comes through from the father and the mother side. You cannot put love into someone's heart. You cannot force love. You cannot put a gun on someone's head that you have to love me. Love does not come by force. It cannot come by forcing someone that you put love of mine in your heart. Love comes from the elders. If the father was a kind person, he was a loving person, the children will also be loving kids, loving children. If the father and the mother were always not showing love to anyone, they were always showing anger, always arguing people, the children will also get that from their parents. So this is a lesson for the parents, that always show love, always be kind, because whatever you do, that will be passed down to your children. Many times people will complain about their own children, that my children does not love me, or does not be kind to his friend, is always fighting. This is because it's passed down from the parent side. Whatever you were doing, that comes down to the children. So this was the one hadith that Imam Bukhari rahimahullah brings in this chapter, and then one more chapter, and we'll end with this. This chapter is also regarding one of the etiquettes of parents. And in fact, in this chapter, Imam Bukhari rahimahullah is mentioning three different manners, three different etiquettes. Babun la yusammi rajulu abahu. One adab, one manner is for the parents is, don't call your parents with their names. Never call them with their real name. Always call them with a respectful word. A father, oh my father, instead of calling them with their names. So this is one adab. La yusammi rajulu abahu. Don't call your father with his name. And number two, wala yajlisu qablahu. Don't sit before he sits. If you're walking and going somewhere and there's some bench, there's some chairs, or there's a rug and everyone is about to sit, don't sit until your father sits. Don't sit before he sits. Let him sit first. And number three, the third adab here is وَلَا يَمْشِي أَمَامَهُ. Don't walk in front of your father. If you're walking together, make sure you are either behind or at least on the side of him. Make sure you're not ahead of him in walking. Three adabs. And then Imam Bukhari rahimahullah brings a hadith regarding these three. أن أبا هريرة رضي الله عنه أبصر رجلين فقال لأحدهما ما هذا منك فقال أبي. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu once saw two people. There were two men, two people, and he said to one of them, "Ma hada mink?" What is their relation with you, with this person? There were two people, and he, I guess, thought, or he figured out that they look similar. They must be related to each other. So he asked, "Is there any relation? What is the relation between two of you?" So the one whom he asked, he said, فَقَالَ أَبِي, that this is my father. So these are father and son. They're walking together. فَقَال, then Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu advises the son with three advices. فَقَال لَا تُسَمِّهِ بِإِسْمِهِ. Never call your father with his real name. And this is, of course, the adab that we find regarding not just for the father, it's about any respectful, any elderly person. We find even in the Quran al-Kareem, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us specifically to the Sahaba, He's commanding the Sahaba that whenever you call Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, don't call him with his name. Don't say Ya Muhammad. Don't ever call him with his name. Say Ya Rasulullah, Ya Nabi Allah, O Prophet. Never call him with his name. So this is an etiquette that's for anyone that is elderly, that is respectful, not specifically for the father and mother only. A teacher, someone, a scholar, anyone. And in fact, amazingly, we find one more thing in the Quran al-Kareem. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how much respect and how much love He had for Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. We can understand this with this adab here, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in many places in the Quran al-Kareem talks about different prophets. Incidents of Musa alayhi salam, Nuh alayhi salam, and many prophets Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about. And we find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whenever He talks about those prophets and their incidents, He mentions those prophets with their names. That Musa alayhi salam did this, Musa alayhi salam did that, and different prophets. When it comes to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, He wants to talk about him, He wants to mention some of his incident, He wants to talk to him, order him something, command him something. He never says, Ya Muhammad. He never takes his name. He says, Ya ayyuhan nabi, Ya ayyuhan rasul. This is again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is showing the adab, that never call a person with his name, because that is, or never call someone respectful, someone elderly, your parents, with their name, because this is against the adab. This is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also never used the name of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to call him. And there's so many orders in the Quran, so many commands in the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala directly is telling Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that you do this, do that. Tell your wives to do this, O Prophet, tell your relatives, and a lot of different commands. But He never says, Ya Muhammad, do this. He always says, Ya Rasul, or Ya Nabi Allah, Ya Ayyuhan Nabi, always with another respectful word. So this is the adab that we learn, that it's not specifically for the father, in fact it's for anyone. Don't call anyone respectful with their name. So Abu Hurairah was giving 3 advices to this son. His first advice is, don't call him with his name. And number 2, وَلَا تَمْشِي أَمَامَهُ, don't walk in front of him. If we remember the hijrah journey of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam from Mecca to Medina, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu was in Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's company during that journey. Both of them are traveling, and the seerah mentions that during that journey of hijrah, sometimes Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu was walking in front of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and sometimes behind Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He would change, sometimes front, sometimes back. And the scholars mentioned the reason for this was that the main adab was that he should have been walking behind. And that's what he was normally doing, walking behind Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But whenever he feared that someone might attack from the front, or some danger might come from the front, he would come to the front side and protect Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam from that danger. So this is the adab, that main adab is that don't walk in front of your father and your mother. Anyone respectful, don't walk in front unless there is some security that you're doing, some protection that you're giving, then only come to the front and walk in the front. And number 3 adab here, وَلَا تَجْلِسْ قَبْلَهُ, don't sit before he sits. Again, this is an adab that if your father is standing, your mother is standing, your teacher is standing, your elderly person is standing, you should not be sitting. This is an adab. And of course, these are adabs that it seems like there should not be taught to us, but unfortunately it is something that Prophet ﷺ and the Ummah had taught, because this is forgotten adab. These are the forgotten manners. People don't nowadays, the children especially, these are something that they never heard of, and they don't even consider this to be something of importance, of something of etiquette. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always allow us to be respectful to our parents and to all of our elders. Wa akhiru da'wana, and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.